Good morning and welcome to today's live show. I know that last night's video was a little short, but we're still waiting on the same thing. You're still in that short squeeze, so we're paying attention to what's going on, but a 2-hour pullback is what we're overall looking for. So has that really happened at this moment? No, it has not. So we have not seen this cross down telling us, hey, we are going to see some kind of pullback or sideways price action. And then you come into today and you kind of expect it to be boring. And the reason that we expect it to be boring is because of how thin the daily expected moves are. So we can remain just in this area for quite some time today. That's what we're going to pay attention to. But this also comes with something else. So 68% chance to see something a little bit boring, but you do have a 32% chance to see something kind of crazy. So we'll pay attention to that. If we get outside of these ranges, this area here is going to hold as some pretty good levels for us to pay attention to, levels of resistance. And then as we switch over to the Qs, we're looking for the similar thing. And once again, you do have a much smaller range today than normal. So what we would, or at least that we've seen lately, because you're in a short squeeze, you're starting to get to the top of that. So the the implied volatility is coming out of it saying, hey, we could just keep trickling higher. We could just fondle around in this area, but there is a 32% chance to see something a little crazy to the upside. The weekly expected move upside is most likely what we're pointing towards, right? We touch these a lot. So that area of 487.34 would be something to pay attention to this morning. Now, as we look through, I know that Tesla is still seeing a great move after that cross up. So another 2 points higher for Tesla as of right now. That's fantastic to see. And we're going to pay close attention to if this needs to pull back, retest some areas or anything like that. But the most likely scenario still, I think, is that you're going to get some liquidity down here, maybe even react up to this area, get that retest, and then we can see that left head and right shoulder form for us for Tesla. Another one that I'm paying attention to, Nvidia, seeing if this thing can retest or something like that at some point. Now, as you keep going higher and higher and higher, you could come into a level that is very, very important, right? Small pullback like this, go up to here, then we see the bigger pullback. We'll pay attention to that as well. Earnings right around the corner though, so we got to be a little bit careful with it. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Now, one thing is volatility starting to see a small reaction, okay? Finally starting to see a small reaction. We were talking about the divergences down here on the 30-minute. This is getting closer and closer to going positive, but I want you to see how this is not a big reaction, okay? This isn't a big reaction and you're kind of just, slowly creeping up. That still can base out. It can make things roll to the upside, can put you in a positive trend for volatility. But if that just crosses back down, we're going to see more squeezing, and most likely that squeeze does continue because that might be breaking us down below the 200. But I just want you to see how volatility is really going directly towards that 200. And that's kind of what we were talking about for the first time. We have to be like, okay, now the squeeze, we have to put on pause for a second. On this channel, we called the squeeze way down there at the bottom. Nvidia really gave us hints for that. Tesla gave us hints for that. So we got those moves. Now we're at that first point we talked about just a couple weeks ago saying, hey, there's going to be a short squeeze. Now we're talking about, okay, this is one thing you need to see what happens. Are we going to get a reaction? Are we going to break down below that 200? This is where we pay attention. So good morning. We got a good day ahead of us. Make sure to like the stream as you come in. Things are opening up. It looks like we have the Dow coming up to our little trend up here. So that's pretty interesting. Starting to test some key levels. We'll see what happens with that. The SPY still kind of just remaining here. Really what you would expect is today to be kind of a dud, boring day. We'll see if that continues, but pay attention to your 30-minute charts as well. Okay, 30-minute charts can matter. We see that curling up. We see some divergence on the MACD. Now, you're going to see divergences like this all the time in a short squeeze, so you don't necessarily want to read into them. When you want to read into them is when they are very, very close to going negative and crossing down. That could be a moment where you experience a pullback. Not saying a reversal, full reversal in trend, right? You more so want to pay attention to if you get a bigger pullback. If you get a bigger pullback, does the 30-minute turn back up and go positive, because that can really lead you into another good move higher. Okay, so that's what we're going to pay attention to. This is still bullish at this moment. We can see that the dollar is dropping off even further now, So if we're not going to have the dollar turn around, I would say today or tomorrow, then we could just keep squeezing. So we'll pay attention to that. We'll see how that PCC opens up. And it looks like some stuff pulling back across the board, but we do have GME posting a bunch of little divergences, just very, very small. Overall, it looks like a a 2-hour curling up and starting to curl back down. So it looks like the moment for GME might not be right now, because this is saying, hey, I'm pulling back. So we'll pay attention to that. AMC giving you a similar signal, but did it a little bit earlier. We saw the 2-hour cross down. Now it's heading down. This has been just barcoding and remaining within like the same 15 cents the entire time I've ever looked at AMC for like a week now or something. So it's just a rough point for you, the AMC people, the GME people. I'm still holding on to the stock. I'm not worried about it. I'm just waiting for this daily to cross up, because if that daily crosses up, that's when I will probably take a little stab at an option play for this bad boy. So we'll pay attention to it. And it is, yeah, it's kind of criminal, because you're telling me that the volume is absolutely nothing at this point, right? That's kind of what's fishy, is like the volume is just gone, and it's been gone for a while. So you just have to see what happens, but the signal you're looking for is when momentum confirms that to the upside. Mara, by the way, remember we mentioned Mara with the 2-hour divergence down here. We mentioned this. This is actually seeing some good price action now. We see that the daily scale is turning up here. So this could mean that Mara has a good reaction, and that makes sense as Bitcoin starts to cross up on his MACD. Now, one thing about Bitcoin, it may need to reload here for a moment. If we go down into a 2-hour chart, we can see we're hitting that point of resistance up ahead of us, that little trend line, and we could be forming something here, right? We came up into this area. That's awesome. If we need to reload and gain some buyers, okay, left head, maybe a big right shoulder over here just forming. So we'll pay attention to that, see if this 2-hour can roll down, roll up, but right now it's saying positivity. Apple and Nvidia, yeah, we'll look at those. Apple and Nvidia, pretty much you're paying attention to 2-hour cross downs, right? So this actually did cross down, but you're noticing it crossed right back up. So what you want to look for when you see these things start to cross back up is see if it can confirm a solid divergence down here right by the center line. So remember, we were talking about in a short squeeze, you more want to pay attention to if that divergence confirms really, really close to the center line. Look what Apple is doing. Even if this went positive for a little bit, well, if that were to rotate down, you would say, okay, that's going to be a bad sign. But as of right now, you have a 30-minute that has finally given you some kind of pullback, and now you're getting that to confirm up. So the most likely direction is going to be upside for Apple for a bit here, and pay attention to reversal signals, but those do not have to come. You could violate those and set up a whole new sequence of those divergences before you have to pay attention again. But this is more so like how, once you set up the 111, you go, okay, now I need to pay attention to this. Now, if this rolls over, that's going to be most likely a probable bad sign for the stock price, right? A probability of confirming some downside for the 2-hour, some pullback, right? We're not talking about overall crashes and things like that on this channel yet, right? We're not seeing those signals at this moment. So you're seeing this on Nvidia, but look, and this is a triple one, right? So if you did confirm down, that would not be the best thing, but it's still far away from the center line. So we could experience a time where you retest, head a little higher, and then we'll have to see what happens from there. But overall, you're just looking for 2-hour pullbacks. As far as what I'm doing, I guess, I shouldn't say you, I should say what I'm doing for the most part is being patient. I made plenty of money on this move. Now I can just chill. Yeah, a little worried about Friday, Trevor, just because of that. It seems like a lot of weight will be on those shoulders. Everyone trying to price in, is he going to cut? Is he going to cut 3 times? Are they even going to mention a cut? Are they going to hold higher for longer? But just to be clear, that retail sales number, I went back and looked, it has been readjusted almost every single time. So the only thing that's really leading me to believe, okay, maybe we need to keep rates a little bit higher, right? We need these rates to actually go up. The only thing that's leading me to believe that is the retail sales numbers. But when you go back and you look at the retail sales numbers, every single time it has been revised down. Every single time. Well, I think it's like maybe once or twice in the last year, but out of like 12 readings, you've had 10 times where it's revised down. So the fact that we got a huge reaction at 1%, it was at negative 0.2 was the revision on the previous, and now it's at 1%. That's a huge, huge difference that can be inflationary. And so maybe with how things are going, with how they want, and this is I do think they fudged the data. So with what's going on, all the data we've received says they need to cut, they need to cut. Now they have a little hint. Now they have a little thing they can look at and go, yeah, we were thinking about cutting or something like that, or we were going to cut multiple times, but we're not going to because that retail sales number. And I think that's a possibility. But I think more so the probability is a cut by 25 basis points, but I still think the probabilities are there for that. I just want to pay close attention to what's going on, mainly with actual stocks, seeing if things can roll down and things like that. But as of right now, you're still heading up towards a weekly expected move, and it's very likely that you will get there eventually at some point this week. But that could be Friday, that could be today, it could be Friday, it could be, you know, Thursday for a moment. You never know. You more so want to see, okay, are we actually going to experience a pullback and then see that curl back up? That would be when that would be targeted, right? Nice, capture this. Very, very good trade setup there. Yeah. Nvidia really showed us some good stuff. So like if you're someone who tunes into these live videos and maybe you missed out on this move, okay, now I'm out of this move. I'm not playing this extra stuff, this FOMO stuff. I'm not playing that. I got out towards 120 area. So the thing is, if you're having trouble finding this type of stuff, I know it's someone who has a course and there's tons of courses out there, but this course really will help you spot things like this. It really will. The technical indicators course, it's $100. It's 90% off for the month of August for my birthday. My birthday's in 2 days, but it's 90% off right now. It's $100 to learn this stuff. So this is something that can really help you out. And when volatility is higher, a lot of traders have trouble, and this type of thing can really help you find those bottoms, find very good bottoms. If you really want to find those good bottoms that lead to a big extended move, that course is really going to help you out. And I just wanted to mention that this morning, just because I was able to benefit from this. I still see people come into the chat who are like, oh, I missed out on this. And I'm like, well, we talked about it over and over again. Something that can really help you is to actually learn it yourself so you see it. And then when me and you talk about it in the live chat, you can go, oh, okay, this does look like a good opportunity. I know how this can go wrong. I know how to manage my trade. Everything looks good. Okay, we made it through that first management of the trade. Now everything's upside. The 2 hours never curled over. Look at this. It's fantastic. So, and the best part about catching things down here before that daily even crosses way up here, the best part about this is everyone is buying puts here. So calls are so cheap when you get it that the value of this is insane. The value of this goes nuts as this continues to head higher. So I just wanted to mention it this morning. Obviously, you know, do what you got to do, learn how you want to learn. I get that. Trade how you want to trade, but that's just something I would really hint to you guys, like, hey, if you're really struggling at moments like this, if you're really struggling at, I don't know, moments like these, right? If you're really struggling at moments like this, like that course can really help you out. If you're struggling at moments like this and you bought right here and it sells off, that can really help. And that's just something that I wanted to push this morning. It's just something that I know people are like, okay, I make money from the course, but at the same time, I make it cheap so that it can be as helpful for anyone that's trying to learn. And it's very beginner friendly, at least in my opinion. But good morning. Apple is a space-bound rocket ship, and it does have more room to the upside. Over on Patreon, we posted those weekly ranges. Apple still has plenty of room to the upside. Apple has the opportunity to pause. If it sees a major reaction, we do something crazy, you can come fill this gap up here, right? This week. Isn't that crazy? So we might not reload at all. Let's see. I think we have a good opportunity to reload. I think if Apple does this and turns back down, you have a good opportunity to reload in this area, aka turn down for a moment. But as we keep getting through resistance, we keep getting through resistance, we keep getting through resistance, it just means more upside. So pay attention as that 30-minute crosses. We could keep seeing positivity. Tesla is starting to tap out just a little bit. We'll see what happens with this. See, we have to pay attention to moments like this because you're going into liquidity. You could drop off. You have to see if these 2-hour charts are going to roll down. Does it mean that there is going to be some kind of crash? It means there's always a probability, right? There's always a probability for a major short squeeze. There's always a probability for a major downturn. We're at a time where political things, anything, really political things, housing market, I could list off 7 different things, and I've done that before. But for the most part, you want to say, if this turns down, I should expect a pullback, right? I would assume it would be a pullback, but I need to treat it like, wow, that could be really bad. That will convince me like, hey, I don't need to have anything long in here if this crosses over. And then if it just turns back up, then you go, okay, that's positivity. That has reloaded. The RSI is down a little deeper now. So I have some room to the upside and maybe I can get up towards like a 234 or something like that. So that's how I would really be looking at stocks these days. Great move. We benefited from the move. Thumbs up and pat on the back if you were able to find this information helpful, because you know, Tesla was giving us some of these signals down here at the lows, right? We even said this. We even said this far. Remember how we really looked at Tesla. We said, hey, there is a 30-minute divergence. That can be a good sign. Okay, that played out to the upside. I made money off this trade. Then it turned down. And then we saw one tiny curl up right here. I took that trade and now Tesla's ripping. So I've already sold completely out of Tesla just because of where the market's at. But you can see we told, hey, 30-minute divergence and the Nvidia has a 2-hour divergence. So good shot that Tesla's going to do it. Hey, it lagged behind. It needed to go grab those buyers, probably because it didn't have a 2-hour divergence, right? So it needed to go grab those buyers. We talked about in this area, we could reject, get a retest. That happened. And then we could curl back up. Everything that we've said about Tesla has ended up happening. It doesn't mean we're magicians. It just means we're reading the signals. We're reading the price action very well. Okay, you'll have periods of time where you just hit it on the money every single time, and that's fan-fucking-tastic. That's awesome. That's awesome. And I highly encourage you to put yourself in a situation where you can do that and trade to your strengths. If this wasn't your strength in this area, then you might need to trade something else. Nvidia gave a very clear signal down here. Okay, very, very clear. If you want to know the exact moment that I bought Nvidia, I'm going to tell you right now because it uses everything that I teach you in the course. We already showed you that Nvidia has the 2-hour divergence down here, right? So what am I looking for? I'm looking for a 30-minute divergence. And when you take the course, you'll really be able to understand this a little better. But it's almost like it's partially going towards a golden setup. Now, it's not the full golden setup that I give in the course, but it's almost there. And this point right here, right there is where I bought my option play, 102. All right, 102. And I bought, I think for the end of August, I bought that those option contracts, and boom, we head to the upside. Now, throughout this entire thing, I can convince myself to take profit. I took some profit here, I took some profit here, and then I took all my profit out once we hit this high because we could have built some structure to head higher. We could have gotten a retest, right? So now I'm completely out. I'm waiting for that pullback moment to really see some more upside, right? Now is a time to be patient. We talk about patience in the course too, because you'll run into times like this where everything's going up and up and up and up, and you already sold out of your stuff. You made plenty of money and you're convinced, okay, maybe I should get back into this. No, I already made plenty of money out of the play. I'm going to wait for a good setup and then take something to the upside if it shows itself. That's kind of how I treat trading. I really treat it like one trade at a time. I don't really care what a stock is doing after I take my trade, or not after I take my trade, after I take my profit. I just go, okay, I know I'm looking for a pullback if I want to continue to trade Nvidia. The best part about this was Nvidia made this massive move, and then I immediately go over and I look at Tesla and it has that breakout moment, right? So I took a little bit here, took a little more, and then boom, we head to the upside and I start to take profit once we hit liquidity. So I started to take profit right in this area. And this makes total sense, right? So I was able to take my profits from Nvidia, put it back into Tesla, and then boom, watch the lagging one. So what one was lagging behind yesterday? Well, it was Google. Google was really lagging behind, and Google actually gave a little 2-hour setup right here, and that said, hey, this is a go. So if you were looking for something last week on Thursday, something to get into kind of towards the end of the week, okay, boom, there you go. It's Google was the one, and that has just recently curled up on its daily MACD, so more upside can be there, which means more upside for the market. Right now, I'm not in Google, but if I was, I'd be saying 175.50 looks good, but I know I need to manage the trade, so anytime time that 2 hour curls down, I'm going to be out of the play, right? So that's kind of how we do things. This is just I'm trying to be very informative right now for people to understand. You can really learn a lot from the course, and this is kind of just dipping your toes in the water. Hopefully that was all helpful. I think this is very, very cool. So is there going to be a pullback? Well, that's the question, and it's not more so this. I want to encourage us to more so be like, is there going to be a pullback, right? Not necessarily the right question, right? More so it would be this. Well, it can this market? Yes. In a short squeeze, if they built up enough liquidity, they can send it higher. That's just the question that you don't necessarily know the answer to. That's why we pay attention to signals. Okay, so the better question is this. Not, are we going to get a pullback? I want you to start saying, am I going to get another opportunity? This was a great opportunity. Am I going to get another one? That's more what you're looking for at this moment, right? You're not really saying, hey, is there going to be a pullback that I can play and this and that? No, you're looking for the next opportunity. Will it be a short opportunity? Will it be a long opportunity? We'll find out. Right now, I believe that the next opportunity will be another long opportunity at this moment, unless we see something crazy, right? But for the most part, we would say, what opportunity could pop up for us? Not necessarily, is there going to be a pullback? Sorry, I had to take a moment. So yeah, it's more just, would I go long? So no, this is where you're waiting for an opportunity. The opportunity's gone to the upside. It's gone. At this point, calls are going to be so expensive. It's just pointless to try anything. You can get lucky if you're a day trader or something like that. You see a little 15-minute roll up, you play it up to 562 or something, and that happens. That's fine. That's your own thing. But that's not what I do. I'm a position style guy, so I do this. So I'll show you guys exactly what I did, like with Nvidia. Now, down at this area, did I take something like 105 when I took this option play? No, I actually didn't. You know what I took? I took a 120. So you can imagine how much profit I was able to make off that because I took a 120. And I only sold a few contracts up at 120 because I'm selling throughout this move to make sure I'm making money, right? But I'm not taking something down here. I was pretty confident with it. I didn't have to risk a lot of money because the options were pretty cheap. And boom, 120 looked like a great price. And I took a bunch of contracts and that really benefited me. So what I more so am doing is looking for something to go up, and then once it hits a level where I think people will try to be like, oh, I'm missing out on the move, and I think there will be resistance, that's kind of what I like to do. Now, it's not necessarily what I tell in the course. Like I more so just say, hey, if you see good reversal signals, you can take a chance with something like a 110. You can take a chance with that type of thing because all you're looking for is the value of the option to get more expensive and then someone else buys it from you. That's kind of how I treat it. Good morning, y'all. But yeah, going long at this, it's like, okay, this is the exact opposite time to go long. You have no divergence. You have nothing to tell you that there's going to be upside. And the options are going to be more expensive to the call side. And you have a MACD that's way up here. You have an RSI that's way up here. So it's the exact opposite time to say, hey, yeah, I want to go long for a long period of time. What I'm more so saying is the daily side looks good. The shorter time frames look like we could experience some kind of consolidative move and then look for that breakout. That's more what I want to pay attention to. I think SPY will eventually the SPY will end up at 563.82. I think eventually you will be here. Once you get close enough to these moves, you start to gravitate towards them, right? These are the weekly expected moves priced in from the options market. But right as we get there, that's normally when you start to see pullbacks happen because this area here is important. You might even hit it, say, today or tomorrow. You have a lot of time left in the week, right? So if the options market is going to get this right, which the market makers definitely benefit from this, right? Then it would come up to this, it would hold as resistance, you'd pull back, right? Maybe on Friday, and then you curl back up on Monday. So we'll pay attention to it. Now, in order to see more downside, like let's actually go over, are we going to see this low taken out over time? Well, most likely the probabilities for that are low right now, but I'm going to show you how you can tell if the probabilities are higher that we're going to take out this low way down here. The probabilities will start to add up a little bit if we cross over on this MACD. This daily MACD, if we start to cross over, you could double top, you could, see this burst higher and then come back down, get that divergence point up there, double top divergence, or just a higher high divergence there. So you want to pay attention if there is a pullback. You just want to make sure that it's not too much and that daily's not crossing down, because that will tell you, hey, we're most likely testing this, going towards the 200, maybe even breaking this and breaking the 200. So I'm not leaning towards that. I think this is a very bullish move. I think it will extend. That's just my take. We've already started to blow up. We had the blow up signals down here. This is where, if you go look on the YouTube channel, we were saying there's a potential short squeeze forming, and then short squeeze confirming. That's how our videos have looked. Look at PCC. Whoa, 0.65. So 0.65 on the PCC. The only problem is you're getting more and more calls. That's perfectly fine. But we still have a reaction in the market that says the SPY is green and the dollar is red, and that makes total sense. Now, this can flip around at any point. What you need to know is the correct correlation is taking place here. The dollar goes down, stocks go up. So if this is able to reverse, we would expect that correlation to remain the same, right? So what we like to see is if it has a low PCC, we want to see that dollar growing to the upside, because that tells us, hey, someone on the inside is selling their stocks and it hasn't hit the tape yet, right? This is why we say the market is overall a rigged game, but this is not acting like rigged behavior right now, right? The rigged game is when, hey, someone's selling, it's not hitting the tape, someone knows something you don't, and then you see a sell-off in the market. But the dollar is not going up right now. So we most likely do just continue higher. If the dollar keeps dropping, then most likely the market will keep going up. Unless you see a big pullback in the market and that call level remains the same and the dollar keeps dropping off, then you would say there might be a rigged move to the upside happening, something that hasn't hit the tape yet. Thoughts on Tesla? Great move. I think you still have a chance to get all the way up to 234. That's really what I'm looking at. But for the most part, we can see, hey, it's starting to die out a little bit. Are we going to at least get some kind of 30-minute more significant pullback than this? Are we going to get a 2-hour rollover? 2-hour rollovers look like what's going to happen. It's just, are those going to lead to way more downside? Or are they going to lead to, hey, some kind of ooh, 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 and then we head to the upside? So what I'm waiting for, I'm just being patient as these things are overbought. You can see they can remain overbought for a long time though. That's why you want to be in the play pretty early. They can remain overbought for a long time. We're just seeing the first blip of overbought. Look at that move, right? So for the most part, we would say we're waiting, we're hoping, I would say, for a 2-hour pullback that curls back up, because then that's opportunity there. And you might actually see the big move coming if you can break through this level pretty cleanly. Ooh, will it drop versus gold? Well, it depends on if cash is going up. If the dollar goes up, if the dollar starts going up dramatically, then you could see some hurtful things in Bitcoin, some hurtful things in gold. Which actually, we should look at gold. Gold did have a signal in here that we were paying attention to. Did that confirm? No, it didn't on the 2-hour. Now, the 30-minute did. The 30-minute did confirm, but it's still way, look, what did we say? In a short squeeze, way up high. When you want to pay attention to that divergence, it needs to be lower. It needs to be really close to that center line. So was this an opportunity for a short position? I would say no, even though it showed weakness and the high probability was you're going to experience more of a pullback. Well, that hasn't happened. You're breaking out to the upside, and the dollar is continuing to drop. So there is a big flight to gold right now compared to the dollar at this moment. You're seeing a flight to stocks, a flight to bonds, and a flight to gold all at the same time. Cost is looking spicy. I think we did look at this the other day. Someone kept asking about it, but for the most part, we wanted to go into a 2-hour and just show the rejection divergence. Okay, that's fantastic. Now you see the upside. So rejection divergence, and we see the daily scale here starting to curl up. So cost actually seeing some good stuff here. Does this mean good things for AMC and GME at this point? That's kind of what I'm looking at. But cost starts to run, so we're going to pay attention to AMC and GME, see if those things are able to turn up pretty quickly here. But you got to cross up on this MACD. Out of AMD at 156, very, very good. Let's go take a look over at AMD. Fantastic play. What level did we pay attention to? Well, 160.83. Where are we heading towards? 160.83. That is really where we've had some good levels of resistance, in my opinion. As we go into a 2 hour, you're going to see the 2 hour just going. So what could happen from here? Well, if we do get a pullback, we break out of a zone, we pull back into it, and then we curl up over time. That would be a fantastic look. It's more of a patience is going to be your best friend for the next few days. Take a look at IWM. We have those on here for today. It looks pretty much the same. Now this has a 30-minute divergence though. So this has a very clear cut 30-minute divergence in the small caps. So very interesting to see that. IWM, I don't really see this being as strong of a move as a lot of other things, but you're seeing a divergence here. And it is closer to the center line. Like that's a big deal. Like it is a little bit closer than others to that center line, but it's still in a range where if that did pull down or move sideways, you could make that next move up towards 219. So this is telling you, hey, you got a shot though to start to curl down on a 2 hour, maybe see an overall extended pullback, and then maybe you fill a gap and turn right back up, right? You're still positive. You're not trying to say this is going to crash down. If it crashes down, most likely it's a black swan moment. Can you catch a black swan moment? You can get lucky. You can pay attention to the signals. You know what happens during black swan moments? Momentum turns down. So if you're paying attention to momentum and you make the play correctly, you can find it. But black swans are very, very, very hard to find because sometimes they happen out of nowhere, right? It just needs a pullback, Mojoma. It needs a pullback at this point. Nvidia's been like the strongest move. I mean, if we just look over at Nvidia and we just take like even this low way down here, the lowest it got, and we look at where you're at now, you're up 43%. 43% in like 2 weeks. Okay, so this is a huge deal, and that is a lot of positive price action with almost no digestion. So it would make sense for this to want to pull back. What do? You break through a zone, you retest in it, and then you head higher. That would be a fantastic look. Now this can just remain overbought. The daily momentum has taken over here, but I'm not going to YOLO into anything at these levels. I'm going to wait for the next trade setup. I've already made plenty of money in this move with you last week, still holding them. Yeah, at this level, you more so would probably look at, because it is an a really big move, you're heading towards the weekly expected move, right? You're heading towards it. You're just like a couple bars off. So it's like if I'm greedy and I'm really trying to make the most amount of money, that's where I would really try to play. But look at that move. It's just barely to the upside. And then I want to show you where the other side of that weekly expected move, where you could end up by Friday. It's still there. So where you could end up by Friday is like 116 way down here. Well, look at that. That's at the bottom of our zone. Okay, so what's the risk to reward here? Okay, if I go long, the reward is this, the risk is that. So is that a good play for me this week at this point? Not necessarily. Does it mean I want to short this? No, because it's a short squeeze happening. So all they're doing is taking all those shorts, using that liquidity and sending stocks higher. So right now, PCC going up towards 0.73. There's a lot to pay attention to today, but 0.73, we're getting a lot of calls in here as we move forward. And that's something to be a little worried about as things like the Dow hit a key level, as things hit resistance levels. Even as we break above those can fail, because we could be too excited. But are we seeing signals that say things are going to sell off? Not necessarily. The dollar's still dropping, SPY still going green, and everything looks pretty fine there. You're not seeing the reversal signals confirm for the dollar, meaning why would I take a play to the downside or anything like that? Thoughts on Sava? Sava, I like the move. I like the move on the 2 hour. I really like it because look at this. It's pretty close to the center line. It's above its 200 on the 2 hour. It gets above all the moving averages right here. You get all of the swing trade signals right here at 25.73, and boom, you get 5 points pretty much to the upside. That's a fantastic look. Now you want to look at the shorter time frames because this could form some sort of divergence in here, And if you look into this right now, what do you have? You have divergence, okay? So now is when you could say, okay, maybe we are going to experience a pullback. This would make total sense, right? This was a pretty key amount of price action here, pretty key level as we used it as resistance a couple times. So as we get up there, you want to say, is that going to give me the handle to head higher? Is that going to dip down deeply and then turn right back up? That's what I'm kind of looking for from a lot of stocks. It's over 40% short. Yeah, daily rejected as well, but I would just more so be paying attention to my signals. If the 30-minute crosses down, that's a pullback. 30-minute crosses right back up. Those are very minor pullbacks, but you can still see positivity as those daily scales are still positive. So looking at the SPY right now, we're starting to see just a little bit of red, but you notice that it's still up by 0.12. So we have a lot to pay attention to. We're not seeing the reversal signals, which most likely we move sideways or we could trickle higher. So we'll pay attention to it, but for the most part, just being patient. Being patient will really help us out here. Holy crap, I feel like I just talked a ton. And see, look, and as it keeps going higher, PCC continues. Let's see if this continues to grow, right? What they're looking for are people to be like, this can't go higher. That goes up like this, and then boom, it ends up going higher as that dollar keeps dropping off. So we like a low PCC for a pullback, right? But we're not seeing the dollar react. We're not seeing anything like that. Dollar's still down 0.18. Hopefully everyone's having a good day out there. Thank you so much for liking as you come in. Yeah, I keep rapping about the stocks. Yeah, I'm trying to chug my coffee. I'm going to do a coffee chug for a second. I got a, we ran out of egg. Yeah, there you go. Look at this. So now everyone's trying to short it. Not everyone, sorry, not everyone, but that just went up. So a bunch of puts just came into the market. Now, is that going to see a reaction for a pullback? We'll see. But right now, the dollar starting to react, actually, starting to. You're seeing all the little divergences. Those can add up. A 2-hour cross-up's what I would mainly pay attention to for a pullback. But pretty interesting that we watch this and I say, hey, yeah, this is going to be bad if people try to short the top. You could experience a little pullback and then things end up going higher. What happens while we're talking? Oh, well, people try to short it. So we'll see if that ends up towards a 1 or a 0.95 during a pullback. See if the dollar's still dropping off. I wonder where Just Joe is. We need our Vixen update. Next, Netflix ain't playing. Netflix 2. This was a great one too. Like if you just look at this and you say, okay, looking at the daily scale, this is in the swing trading course. If you take any of the courses, you're going to learn pretty much. Like if you can really understand it, you should understand swing trading. All it is, hey, cross up on the MACD. You're above the moving average, the RSI above that center line, and boom, big positivity. So great plays everywhere. Even this here was a swing trade to what? The upside. Notice this, the swing trade confirms, completely confirms here. It confirmed a little bit here, right? There were a few things that confirmed on this bar, but this bar, everything confirmed, and what happens? We gap up the next day. So now you're like, okay, now I want to go long. Well, that's the exact time where calls start to get expensive, right? Calls start to get expensive, things might pull back. They don't have to, but it's just the potential for it is, hey, you know, you need to learn how to get it at lower levels like we caught it. Now we're also paying attention to volatility still. Remember, we're at a key level for volatility. Let's see here. Still looking for that 2-hour to curl down. I don't even think we get data today, really. So today, we don't necessarily see much. We get a few Fed speakers later in the day. And then tomorrow's the big day with FOMC minutes. But the thing is, you've already seen something crazy. Do you keep seeing crazier? Or does the FOMC encourage a pullback at this point? Look around for a second. Get the headphones on. We ran out of eggs, so I have a breakfast grilled cheese. I'm not really feeling it. Yeah, you could see that, JC. I think that's a good thing to keep in mind too as we hit these levels. That's kind of why I'm like, okay, once we hit past here without a pullback, that could be retail really buying into this. And then that's the exact wrong moment. Just jumped a lot. Yeah, I went up to, 0.93 now. So everyone trying to buy puts there. Now, this could have something to say, right? This could give some sentiment for the market. We'll see. But they can just use that liquidity to make it go higher as well. We're just not seeing the dollar pop at all. Not seeing volatility really pop at all. And right when people say, hey, yeah, this thing has to crash down, it just goes a little bit higher. And then once they give up, that's when the pullback happens. So I'm just waiting for people to give up. And I'm waiting for my patience to pay off. Is Tesla flushing? Well, Tesla is rolling down. Yes, it's going up into some liquidity and starting to curl down. If Tesla needed to, it could still go make a divergence down here for the 2 hour. But as the daily has already crossed up, that's less likely. More likely to see that curl down and curl back up. See some kind of liquidity. It just means maybe we don't have enough fuel to break through this right now. So we might need to reload and then get some more fuel. Can you look at AMD? Yeah, we can look at it, but the signals here are more so just, hey, that thing's going crazy. Now it's gotten good news as it goes crazy too. The main thing here was daily turned up, and boom, upside happens. And we said the 200s where I'd pay attention. 160.83 is kind of a key level for us. So we'll pay attention to that. It is getting very, very extended to the upside. You're like 2 days away from being overbought on a daily scale. So are there reversal signals here? No. There are no reversals. This is extremely, extremely bullish. So if anyone out there is saying like, hey, we're going to crash down, just know that's a guess. That is a guess at this point. That is a guess. They're going to tell you it's because of Jerome Powell's speech on Friday. That's a guess. They have no idea what he's going to say. They're going to say it's because of FOMC. That's a guess. And even if they're right, it's a guess. There are no reversal signals right now for something like AMD. The only thing you're looking for from AMD, if you do get bad news, is does that curl down? Does that curl down the daily scale? If that would happen, then yes, something really bad could happen. But for now, you would say this is extremely bullish. Any kind of pullback will have buyers beneath it. And so I need to be ready to react. I think AMD is probably at a weekly expected move soon. Yeah, AMD is above its weekly expected move on a Tuesday. Bubba got guess puts. Hey, at least like something like AMD, you do have a reason. Like I wouldn't say you don't have a reason to try to short, but I'm just saying you have a 68% chance to land lower than here by Friday. Yeah, but is that enough for me to take a trade setup? Is momentum telling me that it's going to turn down up in that area? Is the 30-minute at least by the center line? It's not. So I can't really say, oh, this is going to crash down. If it were to pull down dramatically, well, that would be more so because of some news that we don't really know about yet. But most likely before that news, this will start to cross down or the dollar will start to pump and we'll get that signal. But as everyone tries to short, I highly assume that that doesn't happen. Most likely this just remains up here and it's kind of a dud day, to be honest. That's the most probable thing for today is you sit in this range. Can we look at hood? Yeah, we can. Let me try this grilled cheese. I only like grilled cheese with tomato soup. I'm one of those guys. Hood coming up and filling a gap. once again, you're paying attention to similar things. The 2-hour crossing down on the MACD is really what you need to pay attention to for a pullback. Now, 30 minutes going to show you a divergence really close to the center line. So this is when you want to pay attention, right? But it's not to say you can't see more positivity. Look at the last time we had it, right in this area. Boom, right there. We were pretty close to the center line there. Uh-oh, we turn up. More things can happen. It's nothing dramatic from volatility yet, though. Exactly, Banana Sam, exactly. Is there a human being that would just go out and order just a tomato soup? Maybe. I'm sure there's someone out there. So for this guy right here, well, the 30-minute curled right back up. Okay, so you almost got a pretty good divergence down here, but that did turn up on the 30-minute. Positivity is there. Now you want to see, is the 2-hour rolling up? It rejected the cross down. You had divergence right here. Even this play over here is paying out at this moment. So it's like, hey, this is where, you know, the course would say take the setup. This is where the course would say manage trade. This is where the course would say 30-minute cross back up, ready to go. And guess what? It's going. So now you want to see, is the daily scaling up here? Because the daily scaling up is what we need to pay attention to as well. And you have 2 confirmations that this daily scale is at least probably going to go test that 200, or at least the breakdown area, maybe 340. But if this daily on the MACD can cross up as well, you have a chance for a big move. All right, and you had a divergence down here that gave you this. Then you see some probably 2-hour triple top up here that brings you down. Now you have a 2-hour divergence down here, triple divergence pretty much with the rejection, almost triple divergence, but you got the rejection 2-hour, boom, heads to the upside. So fantastic look there. That's all I got to say. SPY ain't dumping. Down 0.08. I'm down for a 2-hour pullback though. I'm trying to keep my mental right, J7. You know what I'm saying? Be like, SPY's dumping. Oh God, is it down 1%? No, it's down 0.08. And then you want to see, is the dollar increasing as well? You're seeing it slightly increase. But do they want the market to head lower with that PCC higher? Probably not. They probably want to just send it sideways. Nvidia still heading higher. Looks like it might be rolling down as of right now, starting to curl over. It's a great move. It's a 43% move in 2 weeks. 43% move in 2 weeks, okay? So a bigger pullback would make sense. Come down into this area and then curl right back up. We'll see. That's the most likely thing to happen at this point. Support for Nvidia, I think, starts at, I would even say 125, but I'd say 123 to like 116. But the 2 stocks that really told us there could be upside are starting to pull down. Okay? So, okay. And look, the SPY is just sitting there. So if we get a dud day, I'll probably just go to the range and put out a YouTube video. Damn, AMD, what a move. Trust me, I want something crazy. I want a big pullback. That sounds fantastic. Huma? Huma site. 2-hour curls down. You can see a little divergence here. It looks like there's a 30-minute one right here that led to this small bounce. We'll see what's happening with that. Yeah. So a little 30-minute divergence here led to that bounce. Tapered off one more time down at this low. Bounced up. Rejected the crossing down. That's great. Okay. Now you're starting to curl down, so that tells you bad things can happen. If the 2-hour curls down, you might make a 2-hour divergence, but if this 30-minute can just turn back up, hey, you got to start to look, is the daily close to crossing up? Can it start to do some more work to maybe cross up? Bubba's in his bear feels. But yeah. Actually, might even look at a 30-minute at this point. 30-minute for the Qs. I think this will be a key one. If that can rotate back down, that would be closer to the center line at this point. But you're further than even the last time you curled down by the center line. I have a spicy grilled cheese for breakfast. That's interesting. IWM really started to turn down. Now, IWM had a pretty clear divergence there. So IWM is telling you, hey, 2-hour pullback is likely. Right, so if we ignore the dollar, ignore the PCC, we just look at the price action, IWM says, hey, we're gonna pull down on the 2-hour, at least highly probable to happen, as long as this 30-minute keeps seeing weakness and doesn't rotate back up. If you see them go in opposition, usually it is it's the reason for the weight of what's held in it. So if tech itself performs well, but say something else that's within the SPY doesn't, you know, SPY has all kinds of stocks in it. It has energy and all these other things. So if one category experiences weakness, you can see one go higher than the other quicker. So a lot of the time towards tops, you'll actually see the SPY make a divergence while the Qs make that high or lower high. And that's one thing that we caught just a few weeks ago. Yeah, Doug, and I think the key thing with that, why we're pretty attuned to it is, well, we've probably traded for a while, and two, we're just being honest and telling you guys what the signals are saying at this moment. And if things start to turn back up, we're going to change what we say. Right? I'm assuming he's someone like that, where if things start to curl back up, he's not going to sit there and tell you, no, we have to crash, we have to crash. No, there's always a probability of an up or down move. Right now, that probable move for IWM is downside, so we would expect a lot of the market to follow, aka the SPY. And it looks like IWM is saying 2-hour pullback. But I will immediately change my tone if this does that, because this curls right back up. I will immediately change. And that's why it's good. You pay attention to times of weakness. For IWM, this is a time for a 2-hour pullback. This is weakness. All right, awesome. If that turns back up, though, that weakness is gone, right? And we change our tone. So it's good to trade like water. That's why we say it all the time. Hollow? Holy hollow. Well, 30-minute pullback is what I'm looking for, but that's a great move. 2-hour just curled up, never curled back down. And now your daily scale is probably turning up as well, right? Oh, it's already has been. So not the best looks, I would say. It's not like the best to enter a trade or anything like that as far as a setup, like a perfect early setup goes. You'd more so be looking for a little 30-minute, 15-minute pullback and seeing if it can confirm more upside. The main thing we talk about with things like this is like, hey, sometimes you got to bite the bullet and be like, I missed out on the move. It's like, were you bummed out that you missed the move of Bitcoin to 63,000 when it hit that high, and then you bought Bitcoin at 63,000 because you missed out and then it pulled back? Like, that's kind of what we want to stay away from. We don't want to have a chance of that happening. Hey, that's cool. I'm down. That's awesome. The implied volatility is low for the day, so if it does pull back, the put side might actually benefit from that. I need some water. Walmart? I don't have levels for Walmart, so I don't want to sit there and guess. But you can always look for some support, some resistance. Mainly you just like to zoom out, look across. Oh, look at that, it's going to all-time highs. So if that 30-minute can fully confirm back up, you can see more upside. But look, you're in overbought territory already on the 30-minute. What's happening on the 2-hour scale. 2-hour pullback is more what I would look for here. A 2-hour pullback can say, hey, we need to test this high or something. We curl down, then it curls right back up. Maybe this is just a left shoulder and you're able to go like this. That would be a great look. But to say like, oh, is there an opportunity here? Not necessarily at this moment. Let me get some stuff lined up and we can go look at Fubo in a second. So we're looking all right. All righty. Let's go take a peek over at Fubo TV. Let's go look at this guy. So this one here, we see a massive up move. Okay, awesome. Maybe if I missed out on that, I could be convinced, hey, I need to buy this. This thing's going up and up and up. Or I could just sit and be patient and wait for this 30-minute to confirm the next upward move. Right, we see this curl down, go up like that. That's all we're talking about, really. You're just being patient if you miss out on something. If you miss out here and it goes to here, it means, hey, I missed out on the best price. Unless I'm seeing a monthly turn up or something like that, I can't even really take a position. Like I can't even invest at that point. So I'm more looking for pullbacks in a lot of areas. Now we're seeing some things from volatility. Volatility is starting to pop just a little bit, but is the daily really turning up? Not necessarily. It's just getting a reaction from this level. So we'll see what happens. SPY hasn't even crossed down on a 2-hour yet, so we can't really even talk about pullback. This could just be a dud day, which is a bummer. I hate dud days. They're so freaking boring. Dollar not popping. And it's because of this. Like this is just going to cause the market to go sideways or go higher. Just barely. Jackson Hole Eve. But like the Jackson Hole stuff, it's like, yeah, maybe that gives you your pullback. And then Jerome Powell says like, or FOMC, maybe that gives you a pullback. And then Jerome Powell explains what they're doing and then it causes some upside. Who knows? All I'm saying is patience is all you have to do here. You just sit and you look at your computer for today, sit and look at it for tomorrow, and then on Friday you might get an opportunity. That's kind of how I see things. That's kind of my plan. It would be crazy for me to make like 500 or 600% on these moves and then sit there and be like, okay, now I'm going to add some here. I need to make money again today. No, I'm just chilling. I don't need to make money again today. I'm good. People, the options market's getting some liquidity though. The way that this is moving up and down, the way that this is just moving up and down from 0.66 to 0.75, down to 0.64, up to 0.93 or something, down to 0.85. Like this is, there's a lot going on in the options market right now. And there's IWM saying, hey, I'm going to turn over on a 2-hour. That's what it looks like right now. It hasn't done it yet, though. So if the 30-minute curls up, you got to be like, okay, that's not going to be right. See Dow consolidating while it gets to that trend line. That could just consolidate and turn right back up. Especially if people keep shorting. If you give them liquidity, they'll do whatever they want with it. I think it will. I think it will. Personally, with how things are setting up right now, I don't think the market wants to do this. That's going to make me like, oh, Jackson Hole might not be the best news. We might experience more of a pullback, like a bigger one, right? But I'd really like it to happen today, do this, maybe even bounce up and then turn back down, and then on Friday we start to see some more upside. Hell yeah, Leo, enjoy your coffee, my dude. DJT, we haven't looked at that in a few days. Let's go take a peek over at that. DJT is still heading lower, not able to really get these things going, right? Trying to confirm divergences and stuff like that, but it's just not getting it going. So you're dipping even lower right now, okay? Even lower. I don't think that earnings helped you out at all. Do you still have the daily signal? You do, okay? You still have this daily signal. That's why it's like a lot of these stocks, like even DJT, AMC, all those types, people are very negative on. The stock seems very negative in the price action, or it's just not doing much. That can really be, oh, a daily crosses up, oh, daily momentum's confirmed, and then we just see some upside. It's not trying to yet, right? It's not trying to fully yet for IWM, but notice the daily has crossed up, so more likely you're just going to see some kind of little pullback that doesn't curl over. We still have to look for, though, if these dailies start to cross down. That's what you want to look for. But right now, I think you got a good shot of a 2-hour pullback. I'm gonna chug some coffee. Num 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 num, but I don't want to eat that much bread in the morning. Oh, god damn, I'm so unorganized today. Thinking about getting a call in Apple. Well, let's take a look at that because the 2 hours starting to get a little cooked. Now you do have room to the upside. It's trying to curl up on a 30-minute. I get it. I would really pay attention if this 30-minute starts to rotate back down. I'm just going to tell you right now, I never take a call. I never take a position just because a 30-minute MACD is curling up. I don't swing trade on a 30-minute chart. It's not going to be enough price action. Now I can see a 30-minute divergence and see a 2-hour pulling back, and then that's what we'd more so be paying attention to. But if this 30-minute rolls over today, Apple's most probable thing is not to see upside. If you can always continue. It's just this is such a squeeze move that you're hitting key resistance. It's like, even if I could benefit from holding and like say stocks go up for 2 days, it's like, oh, okay, cool. But like, was that good trading, Michael? Was that good trading? Is it good of me to every time I see this and I see this, I'm going, oh, I'm going to take a call because a 30-minute MACD crossed up. And I see this up here and I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to take a call because the 30-minute MACD crossed up. It's not necessarily there. You got to look at the context. This has risen up for a very long time. A 2-hour pullback would be the most probable thing. So even if this did go like that and you got some good news tomorrow and you made a bunch of money, it would make you start doing bad habits because you would start to see big moves and you'd be convinced they can go higher just because a 30-minute curled up, which is true, but a 30-minute is a short time frame. You want to more so be like, okay, let me spread that out and look at a 2-hour. Well, the 2 hours pulling back, has that curled back up? Not yet. If that curls back up, can there be an opportunity? Possibly, but you're really close to overbought. So you're looking for a better opportunity. You're looking for a stock maybe with a better opportunity than Apple. That's just kind of what I would look into, right? I'd be like, is this a good one to choose right now at this moment? If I have to take a trade right now, is this the one I'm going to choose? Well, no, more likely I'd be looking at something like SMCI or something like that, watching this thing pull back, and then if I see a divergence down here, I'm going to take a play, right? SMCI is one that I have my eye on because of this look. Now I have to pay attention to SMCI. I have to pay attention to it on the shorter time frames. You see how we got this dip down. So we could do something like left head, right shoulder over here. We could get a quick flash down. But what would happen in this flash down? The 2-hour would curl down. The 2-hour would curl back up, and I'd know the opportunity is there, right? I don't use stop losses very often. I do use them every once in a while. For the most part, if I'm, say I have a good trade, or I have a trade that I'm a little worried about and I can't be at my computer. Say my wife has to go do something with her mom or something like that and I have to watch the baby, I'm going to put a stop loss in that scenario. But if I am at my computer, and most of the time I try not to take like 10 trades at once, I try to keep it to 2 to a maximum of probably like 5 at the same time. So I try to keep it at 2. If I have 5 going at the same time, if there's certain ones that aren't playing out the best, I could do stop losses. But for the most part, if I'm in front of my computer, I am my stop loss. No reason for the pullback. The only reason that you could see a pullback is it's just overextended, right? You're going to see people take profit, right? When people take profit, what happens? Well, stocks pull back if a bunch of people take profit. And what we notice now is we're violating one area, we're violating 2 areas. So who most likely is buying in this area? Well, it's most likely going to be retail. At retail, we notice, they're probably the ones making this extend a little bit further with the market maker and the options data, the options they're receiving. So that's what I see at this moment. If I'm wrong, that's perfectly fine. I'm still going to be patient. There's nothing for me to do here. There's just nothing. Like, I could go convince myself to take a volatility play. All I do is hold on to my hedge from when I took this trade to the upside. My hedge obviously lost value. So, hey, I used those profits, just made that actually a good price point for myself with those options and volatility increasing, just to make sure, hey, maybe I could make that money back. Maybe I could make some money out of the play, but I don't have to risk a lot of money at all, right? I just need to buy a couple more contracts up in this area and just be like, okay, cool. And then if that just does this, I could sell those contracts and break even. That's all I need. Do something like that. Okay, break even. Then I pretty much had a perfect trade from last week. Playing the upside, hedging the upside just in case, right? We start hedging in this area. Okay, awesome. We see another extended move. I take profit. I add to the hedge a little bit with like literally 5% of those profits. I add to the hedge, making it a position, not necessarily a hedge anymore. And then if that goes like that, I go, okay, cool. I broke even. I literally did like perfect trading there. That's what that'll do. So I'm kind of hoping for a small pullback, but if no pullback happens, doesn't really matter to me at this point. Stopping by to say hi, money things. We making money or we making excuses? Let's go. Exactly. And this is where it's just, you have to know how to find these reversal signals, or else you're going to miss out on this. And then you're going to, at the exact wrong time, be like, wow, this looks really strong to the upside. It does. But right when you get that mentality, usually you will see some kind of pullback. Remember, you need the mentality from retail of this thing is going higher, this thing is going higher. That's when you're most likely to see a pullback. That's why the PCC isn't really telling us too much. It's just telling us they're getting a bunch of liquidity from that options market for sure, because it's ripping around, right? Rips down, rips up, rips down, rips up. So this is something to pay attention to. The fact that the PCC is still at 0.84, so really anything can happen there. But we'll see if that goes overextended to the downside. Again, calls have been being taken a lot. So you would expect maybe a pullback to convince people to get puts again would be a likely scenario at this point. Is that proving itself? Well, weirdly enough, the dollar's dropping off further while the SPY drops off. When the SPY went negative, the dollar dropped off further. So if anything, it says they're throwing their money somewhere. Most likely it's back into all the things that keep pumping. Most likely it's into assets. Most likely it's into gold, bonds, and stocks. So we'll see. We'll see. But until we see that dollar increase, volatility increase, you really don't have much to worry about. Volatility, I'd say, crosses up on the daily scale, then you have something to worry about. But most likely, guys, just so you're aware, most likely if you do see a pop in volatility, you're going to see something like this, where it pops and then it drops back down and this isn't able to cross. If this is able to cross, it could be a lot worse. But I think you're going to go up and turn right back down. That's what I think. Doesn't matter what I think, we'll pay attention to the signals. But for the most part, dollar keeps dropping. So Thoughts on Mara? Well, we found Mara. We actually discussed Mara a lot last week, talking about how good it looks and how we were paying attention to Bitcoin. Now, this was a great move. This was a good move for the trade. Did it make you enough money at this point or something like that? But you do have a 2-hour divergence that's leading to upside. If that curls down, bad things can happen. So that's when you say, okay, going long is silly if this curls down. But if that can curl down and do something like this, then you can react, right? Then you'll have a triple divergence down there. So it looks like a good setup. Daily looks like it's about to cross, but has it? No, it hasn't yet. So this really needs to cross up to get that confirmation. Bitcoin already did it, right? Bitcoin did it, but notice the weakness coming in. So even when it crosses, this is a good lesson in learning too. When it crosses, is your job done? When it crosses, does that mean the stock has to go really, really high? Not necessarily, no. It means it crosses a lot of the time early on in the trade. You want to look at that 2-hour. Now, in this case, we want to look at a 4 and say, okay, that daily crossed up. Awesome. In the play. Now it's rolling down. If this 4-hour rolls down, how close is it to that center line? Pretty freaking close, right? So what happens below that center line? Negativity, bad things, all right? So you still have the opportunity to keep setting this up, right? But if this crosses down, you got to say that's really bad. Even if it's still holding up right here, you got to be like, just in case, that's really bad. And then if it just goes bloop like that and it crosses up again, then you go, okay, now we can break out. That's the most likely thing to happen if that curled back around. But if this 4-hour curls down, bad things. It'll crash. Oh my God. Not just yet. Not really seeing any kind of crash signals. If volatility crosses up on the daily, I'll start to be like, we have potential for a crash. But until that happens, you just can't say that. You haven't even curled over on a 2-hour yet for a pullback. What they're going to most likely do, by the way, since now I believe retail's holding a lot of the bags here, they could shoot the market down, really shoot it down and test a key level with some liquidity, right? They could really shoot it down. What that would do is everyone would go, oh my God, we're crashing. Jerome Powell says good things. Oh my God, we're crashing. Jerome Powell says good things. And then this would be the opportunity. That's what I'm being patient for. If that were to happen, I know how to react now because I've said it out loud. Oh, I know. And you're pretty much almost getting cup and handle, right? Pretty much if you want to go to this level, if you end up going to this level, you can always see some positive things. It's good to be aware of both sides. But things are looking okay. The SPY is slightly pulling back. The Q's pulling back a little bit more dramatically. So look if the Q's start to curl down. It doesn't mean, it has to be horrible. Remember, the probable thing for today is a nothing day. Just being genuine. The probable thing for today is to end here, 68% chance. Out here, 32%. Out here, 32%. This, 68% chance by the end of the day. So if you start to cross over and see that scale up, you can see something crazy. Right? 32% chance to see something crazy. But it's just important to note the most likely thing to happen is you kind of just do this. I prefer a nothing day over a bad day. I don't know. A bad day is not always bad, right? Especially this. I'll tell you this. This is when this is going to be really cool. Because if this is still going to behave like volatility is in, do you know what you will see in a downturn a lot of the time when volatility starts to turn down? On a 30-minute. So if you want to catch the bottom, right, for a 2-hour, say a 2-hour swing trade to the upside, well, the course is going to make this really, really clear. Still 90% off. It's $100 only for August. You got a few days left to grab that. Highly encourage it. It'll help you out a lot in finding bottoms like we did. You'll probably be able to understand the YouTube videos better as well. A lot of people said that. But for the most part, what happens in a volatile market when we see a pullback on a 2-hour? If it's dramatic, a lot of the time you'll see this, boom, boom, and you'll get a 30-minute divergence in that pullback. If you get a 30-minute divergence in that pullback, that is sweet. I love those trades. I love those swing trades because it's like using both courses at the same time. Wonder if that Twin Towers, and that's something that is possible. You have to be aware of this. This can be bad. It still can be. And the reason for this, and I want you guys to hear me out here. The reason that this could still be a lower high and why we have to pay attention if this daily MACD rolls back down. If that rolls back down, you're most likely going to do what? You're going to test the low, maybe even go make a new one, right? That's if this daily is able to fully rotate down. Now, why do we need to be aware of that? Well, because you confirmed a big weekly signal up here. You confirmed a divergence. You confirmed that divergence over here on the Qs as well, all the way across, right? We see it all the way across, all the way across. All right, so we have a bunch of divergences here. So we have to be aware if there is weakness in this level. We have to be aware, because if that just keeps going down and you break through this center line, ooh, that's going to be some ugly price action for a while. So you still could be in the beginnings of that. Now, am I leaning towards that at this moment? Not necessarily. I think you have the opportunity to maybe even go up for a couple of weeks here and then see that pull back down. But if it were to happen, that's great. That's fantastic. More opportunities to be had. All right, Q's getting very close to crossing over on this 2 hour. I think someone said Tesla was turning down. Hey, 1%. So there you go. All right, what do we do? Well, we called this pretty well. Now, I think that it's still going to end up towards a 234, but doesn't matter what I think. It matters what's happening on the charts in front of me. We went up. Where did we go to? Into some liquidity. If we really wanted to, this is that breakdown area we marked off, but this is liquidity in here. And so when they go up to that, there can be sellers in that area. We can cross over on this MACD. Something about Tesla that's a little different. It's still within range of negative. You can come down a little further, not leaning towards that. I still think you're going to leak down, maybe back into this zone and curl back up. We break through, curl back down, curl back up. That's the most likely thing, in my opinion, right now. That's what it looks like for Tesla. I just pay attention to that. But if it's just going to be a very minor pullback, then you're going to see a 30-minute cross right back up, right? 30-minute gave some divergence here. Okay, awesome. 30-minute curls back up with the retest. Still good to go. I did just notice SMCI going down now 3%. So kind of a rejection, almost double top, but not really. So 2 hour curls down. What happens to SMCI, guys? Bad things. Now you want to be aware if that holds up a little bit better, right? We do something like this. But if that's going to be bad, what we want to say is, ooh, what if that goes and makes the divergence? Because it did not have a 2 hour divergence here. So if that wants to, it can go like this. And then you'll see a big signal here, and we'll be talking about it. We might have to talk about SMCI for a little bit. Firehouse subs. Do they have grilled cheese? Do they have grilled cheese? Alrighty, volatility now going up by 5%. PCC dropped down a little lower. We start to pull back, but look at this. The dollar is still dropping. So the dollar is dropping while the market is dropping, and the PCC is a little bit lower, not as low as I'd like it to be. So this tells me that there still might be some undercover buying going on, which is very interesting. Either that or they're flying into something like what? Gold, bonds, TLT, right? They could be holding into these areas. But for the most part, we'll take it with what has helped us in the past. Dollar dropping off, SPY dropping off at the same time. A lower PCC means this might end up not crossing over today. Maybe there needs to be one more fake out. Nice. See, look at that. And just like that, literally my hedge play that I added a couple contracts to see if it could break even again. It's literally like break even. It was down 40%, now it's down 16% from that small move. Oh gosh, guys. Oh, my wife did a fantastic job for my birthday. She got really excited. She's a gift giver. She loves giving gifts. And she got me a rifle case. She got me a gun range bag. She got me ammo. Dude, she just typed, I'm telling you, she just typed in gun stuff on the internet and just bought it. And I'm excited. We might go to the range today. I'll show you guys my guns sometime. I don't know if that's like, is that even allowed on YouTube? Can I show my guns sometime? Bought Nail on yesterday's pullback. Let's go look at Nail. I haven't shot my rifle yet. I might go shoot that. Nail as well, though, can curl over on this 2 hour. As you can see, I have a level marked off, 114.83. But for the most part, looking at this, well, do I see reversal signals? Not necessarily. This could be a 30-minute pullback or something. What I'd more like to happen from Nail, which I love this stock. I love this. This is one of the only like leveraged ETF stocks, whatever, that I ever really trade a lot. I don't normally do at QQQ. I don't normally do SPXS, SPXL. I don't do those. I like to do Nail just because look at the curl ups and look at the benefit that these can really have. Curls up above the center line, 11% from if you just bought the stock too. That's why I really like it. You can take your risk out a little bit. It does move pretty good. If this 2 hour curls down though, watch out for that 114.83. You could just need to make some kind of higher low here, and I believe that might be a little deeper because you're still close to negative, but I'd look for this. That would be a great opportunity. I'm sure the daily has already crossed up, but we just know that there will be pullbacks and overall moves. So paying attention to it. One thing too, you're hitting the breakdown area in this. You see that? That's the breakdown area, and you actually had a gap there. So you kind of filled this gap, and now you might turn down. But doing analysis on this, it's 3 times leveraged. So you'd more so, and this is just a tip for you, Jonathan, try to do some of your research as well on HGX. All right, the housing sector. Because look at the look. It looks exactly the same. It just doesn't have that leverage in it to mess with the price a little bit. Right, so the price of that stock goes up dramatically when it goes up, but this stays pretty maintained. See this crossover? Okay, that's a signal to pay attention. Yeah, Jonathan, really put this out there. Put this on your watch list. HGX, the housing sector. It's something that I use continuously. And I'll tell all you guys right now. Let's tell all you guys who need an opportunity to maybe invest in the future. If you see a big crash, here's what I'm going to tell you. If you see a huge, massive crash, let's say the stock market crashes 50%. Okay, then I want you to look at this. And I'm just going to share this with you guys completely free. I don't talk about this. I've only told family members about this for if they experience a crash or something like that. All right, I want you to do this. Look on a weekly scale. I want you to go mark off 491, and I'd probably even mark off this level right here, like 1840. Those two levels down there for Nail have been some of the best investments that I've ever done, and I wish I used more money behind them. Because from 491 in the past, I didn't catch that one. I only caught this one when it curled back up with divergence that rejected. You see the rejection? Okay, awesome. I saw this, I bought it, I held it until it went to like, I think this level here and curled down. So I think I sold it like 65. But what I more so did was I like tripled my money just by buying a stock for like a year and a half. So this is a good one to have on this is home builders. So this is a good one to have on your watch list for I would say it's 3 times leverage, so a little bit riskier. But when you experience big crashes, this thing really drops off. Look at 2019. Look at that, 3 weeks, it was gone. And then if you bought it 491, boom. So I have these levels marked off. You see my sell area too, by the way. You see my sell, that's my sell line actually, 114. I sold here, and then I didn't really look at it again because I was just like, hey, I'm happy with the profits. But for the most part, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna buy down at these levels, I'm gonna sell at these levels. That's my plan with Nail for the rest of my life. And just like that, we notice that the SPY is starting to not cross over on the 2 hour. Would you look at that? Look at it. It's not crossing over on the 2 hour. So yeah, day trading it could be fun. I know the options aren't the best, but you never know. Long dated options aren't the best for it. I just like the fact that you can buy it, and it's something that's less risky. We talk about options a lot on this channel, but that is a very good option to look for from an investment perspective. For people who are maybe getting eaten up by the shorter time frames a little bit, zoom out on things, man. Just be a little bit more patient. Zooming out on things can make it way more clear. and maybe step back, invest for a little while. I mean, unless we turn into a communist country, because then we're all only allowed to make the same amount of money. No, unless you're a big dog, but that wouldn't be cool. We wouldn't have much to talk about. We'd just be like, hey guys, how much money did you make today? The same as you? Awesome. Maria, I don't know the best platform. I wonder if one of our silver people in here, one of our big silver holders. Doug liked that one, right? We'd all be like, how much money did you make today? $127. How much money did you make today? $127. High five. everyone jerks each other off. No. Maria, there are people in the chat that normally have a lot to say about silver. Mark, don't you know a lot about silver platforms? Which one you trust as far as physical silver goes? Because I've bought mine from multiple places. I don't necessarily trust them too much. I mean, I know the grade's real, but how much did you make? We all lost money today. We're only allowed to buy the SPY, and we're not allowed to sell it ever. AMD really giving that up a little bit towards our 160.83. Great point to pay attention. That's held as some good level for us for a while. Just keep mentioning it, Maria, every once in a while. Maybe one of our silver buddies will pop in here. Microsoft just retesting and retesting. Divergence here as well, so not the best sign. Not the best sign is how I would word it. CRM, yeah, let's go check it out. I'll keep trying to mention silver every once in a while, see if one of our silver guys pop in. Do you do options? Yeah, so for the most part, these days I'm doing options, not risking a ton of money or anything like that. Okay, this is cool. This is a cool look, because you're very positive here. I'll tell you what would be the best case scenario for Salesforce. William uses I Trust Capital for silver IRA. Do I trust them? Not completely. That's kind of how I feel a lot of silver things are and gold things. But I'm going to tell you what the best scenario for this is, and it will be amazing. And Legini, yeah, maybe you have a bad trade with this or something. I'm not someone who trades this very often, but I can tell you right now, this is fantastic. And then if you crash from that level, like really see a sudden drop, and then earnings are good, ooh, that would be some great structure, great liquidity, everything at the lows, and boom, you head to the upside. Now, earnings, a lot of the time, we still say it can go 50-50, right? So I don't necessarily want to trade around that, but this is what I would look for as a trader. I'd really like to see if this MACD, because it got higher than this point, and it's like right below where you saw that resistance come in with the divergence. You see the 2-hour divergence there, boom, downside, then you curl back up. Okay, awesome. If this can just go like that and curl back up, that would be fantastic. It's too bad there's earnings around it. It really is. It's just too bad that there's earnings around it, to be honest. As we look at coin, look at this, 2-hour. Does that look like the strongest thing in the world? We couldn't even get up to here. So does that look strong, or does that look weak to you right now? Does that look like something that is confirming downside? You have 2 swing trades to the downside confirming. You have the price action, you have the RSI, you just don't have the MACD crossing down. So coin looks like it's about to suffer, which is interesting because Bitcoin's seen some positivity. But if that curls down and then can curl back up, that'd be a good sign. If it curls down, though, you want to treat it as bad. So as far as coin goes, looks like a 2-hour pulling down would be some bad news, and that looks like the most likely thing to happen with the price action right now. Mara flipping back to 0 here. 0% gain as of right now. Nvidia down 1.82%, but still holding at higher levels. SPY holding at higher levels. Remember, dud day is the most likely thing for today. But we'll see. So what I'm going to do is, if we keep experiencing a dud day and I keep not necessarily seeing any kind of reversal signals or some kind of behavior that could have a rug pull by the end of the day, then I'm probably not going to do a closing stream today. I'm going to go spend some time with family, go shooting and stuff like that. Maybe go to the gym. Really treat it like, hey, if it's a dud day, I don't want to be sitting in front of my computer all day, which seems to be the case as of right now, people waiting for that FOMC. So what I'm more going to do is really focus on the YouTube video for tonight. If I see some crazy stuff, I will come back live later today, an hour before the close. So make sure you're subscribed with notifications on. But for now, it's just like, hey, patience is going to be your best friend. All right, patience is going to be our best friend. We'll watch this just for a few more minutes here together just to see what's happening. Let's click through. We see the dollar still dropping off. We see the PCC starting to come down a little bit, actually. That's interesting. And nothing really saying major sell-off yet. Tesla not curling down. Nvidia, even with that 2% drop, not curling down. A 2% drop is nothing. This is 43% up. Is patience a virtue? I think so. Oh, Pfizer? Yeah, we were looking at this, and this is what has me a little bit worried. Why is Pfizer seeing good things? Whenever Pfizer sees good things, what happens? Bad things. All right, whenever Pfizer curls up, what happens? I would say bad things happen a lot of the time. Okay, right? We can look back to 2020 when we were at these levels, and what happened? Bad things. So now we're at those same levels again, and this daily's about to curl up. What do we have out there? Something related to monkeys, something related to pox. So I don't like that, personally. That could be a black swan to watch out for. But as far as the stock itself, you're seeing a lot of swing trade signals here for some good upside, right? So if you're saying, hey, this curls up on the MACD, what do you have? You have two swing trade signals right now. If this confirmed, let's say this bar confirmed, that is a strong bar above your 9, above your 50, above your 200. You're kind of hesitating at the 20. You have the RSI going across the center line, and you have the MACD lagging behind. All of this is saying swing trade to the upside, test the high, go make a new one. That's what this is saying as of right now. If this changes by the end of the day, that's not as strong of a bar. It starts to go like that. It even fades a little bit. Just doesn't look like the best bar. Maybe wait another day, look for another positive bar, see if this MACD can curl up. But the price action here, the indicators, most of them are saying, hey, you could experience some upside. Maybe to go test the high or go make a new one. That's what this is saying. If this crosses up, then that's pretty much confirmed to be very highly probable. Which means, uh-oh, what could be happening? You know, what could be happening out there? Because like back in March of 2020, Pfizer curled up immediately. Wukong? Wait, Wukong? Like from League of Legends? Yeah, your boy played in League of Legends tournaments over here. I'm a mid laner. No. It's a new game. Might check it out. Actually, no, I don't have time for another game. I only have time for TFT with my wife. That's all we have time for. But yeah, I played in a tournament against Dyrus once. No. He was supposed to be there and he canceled. Him and his girlfriend. Actually, his girlfriend. Who's that like Asian? But she's from here. But who was his girlfriend for a long time? Who the heck was his girlfriend for a long time? Emiru? Emiru? Does anyone know Emiru? I think it's Emiru. Yeah, it's Emiru, 100%. Yeah, she, if you guys didn't know, Emiru lived 15 minutes away from me. Before she met Dyrus. She lived 15 minutes away from me. Apparently she's like from a city that's close to me, but it's like literally 15 minutes away. Osman Gold, yeah, so that's her, yeah. I just thought that was interesting. I love their love story, her and Dyrus back in the day. They were both quiet and awkward, and she showed up to his house, and he quietly opened the door, did not say a word, and walked out of the doorway with the door open, like, come in, but he did not say come in. He just walked up, opened the door, stared at her, and then walked away and left the door open and started playing League of Legends. Apparently that's how they met. I just think that's hilarious. Still, are we going to see a reaction from the dollar? I think this would be telling. This would be something that's a little more telling. Are we seeing a reaction from AMC and GME today? Ooh, we're actually seeing GME curl down on its MACD, saying downside is the most likely option. Let's go look at some stuff, by the way. Make sure these positions are okay, because I still have a GME position for a long time. Today SMA on the daily chart there. Hey, Khaled, thank you so much for subscribing. Really appreciate you being here, everyone. Welcome Khaled into the chat. Make sure they feel comfortable chatting with us, asking questions and that type of thing. I don't like people who come in and they're a little nervous. They're a little nervous. Give me a test. I'm down. I'll look at a stock for you. Give me a test. BTC started to rotate down. Okay, so now we have to see if the dollar starts to scale up. And we have to see if the SPY starts to turn down, because it is down towards 0.78. It is below 0.8. So now's the time to start to pay attention to the dollar and the dollar volatility and the SPY, I would say. But still, the most likely thing is a dud day. They keep it up here, keep it up here, keep it up here. If you can't bust them down, you're probably going up. So we're really close to a weekly expected move. Think he may have subbed. Hey, that's great. I do like Jackie. I like watching him with my kiddos. Oh wait, I've told you guys that. It's a lot of fun, but yeah, Jackie's fun. He does some technical indication that I don't necessarily 100% do the same. Right, I like to keep things very, very, very simple, but he seems successful from when I've watched. I've watched him a few times. He's got a good head on his shoulders. I've listened to him talk about stuff plenty to know, like, he's not an idiot, even though his stream is very, like, I would say memer friendly. I think he's pretty cool. Cheapest I got in Nvidia was 98 on the crash day, holding to earnings. Oh, we wish the best for you though, Diana, right? What do you think, Washed? What do you think about Jackie? Yeah, I watched him. One week I just watched him because I was like, I need some tunage. Have you ever seen DZ videos? I don't think so. DZ. That's not ringing a bell. Good afternoon, Mark. Maria earlier was asking, because you ask about gold and silver a lot, I'm assuming you have some physical silver as well. Is there anyone that you trust buying physical silver from, like really trust? Gold screaming down? That could mean we're about to see the dollar pop, but yeah, if you could, Mark, let us know. I like that too. Like, the thing is, when you have that big of a chat, he's got a huge chat going on. You kind of got, I've had to be a dick sometimes, but I don't like to be. What I'm trying to learn, I don't mind the songs and the fun. I think his intentions are pure, which matters to me. And yeah, that's a big part of it. Trust is a big thing. You know, I watched a ton of YouTubers when I was really trying to learn, and I took multiple courses, and then I started to just do my own thing and really research myself and learn these indicators to a T, even further than what the courses taught me. And yeah, I would say trust really matters, because a lot of YouTubers that I followed back then, I followed maybe 12 different YouTubers. I think now, if I barely look at YouTubers' videos because I do it on my own, right? I'm really got a hang of things, but I'll still look. If I'm having a time where I'm like, man, I need a second opinion, I just want to see what they think, then I'll go look at those videos. And I only follow like 2 of them now. I'll literally only, actually pretty much like Yeah, pretty much like 2 YouTubers. Just needs to stop screaming into the mic. Seems like he wants the next roaring kitty. Yeah, I didn't even tell people how much, like, obviously I was in this short squeeze. And a lot of the time, if I have a play and it's paying out or something like that, I'll say like, oh, I've made X% live or something like that. But that's why I don't show my accounts or anything like that. I like to keep things private. I don't want people to be convinced to take plays that I'm taking because it's just I'm taking the play. I want you to learn these things. I think that's the big part. The other thing is, I don't want to be telling you guys that I'm winning all the time. I'm winning all the time when you might not have taken the right play. I feel like it's kind of a negative thing. So you'll hear me brag every once in a while when I'm in a really, really good mood. But for the most part, I'm not trying to gloat or something like that all the time. I don't think Ross Cameron. Where's those YouTubers? Some YouTubers that I still really respect. I really like. I still like FX Evolution. I like his opinion. So there's a few YouTubers, and I'll kind of go through a few of them that I like. I like how informative Maverick is. The Maverick of Wall Street, I think is his name. That one's good. And then one that you'll really like, especially if you're more so, I would say, a shorter term trader, is Figuring Out Money. I think those 3 right there are very good. I'd like you to share your entries though. Well, I try to like just tell you like, hey, this is where I'm taking the play. The dollar bottom. Mark, you got to give Maria. Who do you buy silver from? Who do you trust? A REIT. I have watched a REIT before. I don't think it's bad. Those. I'm just telling you the key ones that I think I look for different things. If I'm looking for what's going to happen in the shorter term, maybe I need a second opinion on that. I might go look at Figuring Out Money. If I'm looking for someone who's kind of looking at the big picture, trying to get a different take on things, like a completely different take, FX Evolution, because he does things completely differently. Right? Maverick of Wall Street, I only like the, and I haven't watched him in a while actually, but I do like how he tries to keep people informed about stuff. So not really the technical side, more so just looking at, hey, what's he going through? What things is he seeing as important? And then I'll go do my own research. Trade Brigade is another, there's a ton of good ones. There's a ton of good ones, but am I using all of them for technical indication, right? Technical analysis? No. I'm more so using pieces of them that I see value in. So even JC saying Maverick of Wall Street is bad. It's like, yeah, I don't follow his technicals. I follow what things are he paying attention to, and then I can see those things, and then I can go do my own research on those things. All right, so there you go. Costco, Maria. There you go. Talk about your trading career. So if you want me to go through it quickly, I was a fundamental, I'm about to be 32 in a couple of days. I was a fundamental trader when I was like 21, 20, I think I was like 20 to 22, somewhere in there. And I was like, I'm going to be Warren Buffett. And the bad part about that is you kind of look into a stock, you do all these things, and then what happened to me was I lost pretty much all of my money when I was very young because they ended up being a fraudulent company. So that's where I had a bad taste of fundamentals. And then about, I would say, a few years later, I started to do some simple swing trading. So I learned how to swing trade. And then I started to really deep dive into it because I noticed swing trades probably wasn't the best position I could get. So I started to take some courses around swing trading, how to read into indicators and things like that, and little things I could learn. And then I learned how to make weekly ranges and taught myself things that I saw important. So I took a few courses and I would pull from those courses. I wouldn't just only trade based on what they say. I pulled things from those courses to figure out, okay, and I've added a lot of that thinking myself. A lot of the thinking that I give in my course about the MACD, about the RSI, about the positive, negative side of things, I made all that up myself. That is all things that I just kind of put together. Isn't that crazy? But I just put those things together and thought logically about it, and it really has worked out for me for a while. So then really started to gear up into it after 2020 when I actually happened to, I used to just swing trade on the side, but in 2020, if you didn't know, I had a business that I was running, and so because of 2020, it had to do with restaurants, and all the restaurants shut down. So overnight, I lost my business. I had to give up my housing situation. I had to do a lot of things that were bad. So what I overall said to myself was, I have a lot of time, so I'm going to dedicate myself to learning. And that's really, really, really awesome, because once you really can focus on something, and I had no other distractions, it allowed me to really learn quickly. It allowed me to research things like weekly expected moves. It allowed me to really develop my thinking around my indicators, and that's what's really helped me out. And so for the last few years, I've more so just been trying to develop those to a T. Trading by yourself can get very, very lonely, right? So my wife encouraged me to make a YouTube channel. I was like, I think my opinions are good. I think I'm doing well. So why don't I tell other people and try to teach other people? And what really geared that up for me was when I started to figure out how to read into rigged behavior. And I said, they are trying to, and this really, really developed just recently during this YouTube channel, where I just realized that a lot of retail is who ends up hurting when things happen, right? When things happen like this, retail hurts. And so what I like to do now is try to be as clear as I can on these platforms and teach people like myself who are just maybe starting out just a little bit down the timeline for themselves. Maybe they're starting out as I was 20 years old, right? And so what I wanted to do was more teach people, hey, you can do this, you can. Now, everyone's gonna have their own struggles. Maybe you're not good at shorter time frames, you hear me say that. But for the most part, it just means you have to be honest with yourself. And I think that side of things is very cool too. I was very honest with myself when I lost my business. I was very honest with myself when I, not necessarily when I did the fundamental flop, I would say, but more so when I would take the bad trade with Zillow that I've talked about before. That's a moment where you have to really be honest with yourself, write down those mistakes, really come to terms with it and be like, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to practice good behavior. Yeah, so if you can really, and this is very early on, so if you're early, you're new to the channel, all those kinds of things, any kind of thing like that, take it slow. Like really take it slow. Don't think that because you watch one YouTube video and maybe Meet Kevin said that Nike has to go up, that it has to go up, right? That's not what you want to do. You want to make it so you're the one in control, you're the one in charge, because it is your money at the end of the day. So that's the overall goal of this channel, help people learn just like I did. And then I saw someone say something. What kind of business did I have? I created a mobile application with my brother that would show you locally owned businesses, restaurant specials near you. So you'd pull up your phone, you'd look at it. It would almost look like, I don't know, like Snapchat. Like you'd look at it, you'd see little profiles that kind of look like when you're looking in your chats on Snapchat. You click into that profile and then you would see those specials in front of you, and it would always go by whatever business was locally owned closest to you and running a special right now. But obviously COVID ruined that. So yeah, that was the business I had. I created that from the ground up, had it going for about 2 years, I think, 2.5. But I had no backers. I funded it completely myself. I ran it with pretty much $0. I got the cost down to about, to run the whole app, I think it cost me about $42 a month. So it was very cost efficient. And right when it was about to start doing well, I was starting to get into Kansas City and other cities. And I was even going to possibly open it up in Australia because I had a link there. Yeah, everything got shut down. So unfortunate, but then I wouldn't be here with you guys. Sirius seen some good things, but and then we'll look through some stuff and then I might have to go. But Sirius is seeing some good price action to the upside, getting the rejection of the cross down on the 2 hour. I really like that. I really, really like that because that rejection on the 2 hour might be enough to curl up this daily chart. And you see two of the swing trade signals right now. Now you are below the 200. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. If I started it again, I would want a team behind me. I would want to grow it quicker because that's the thing. It was only me. I ran the business. I ran all the accounting. I ran everything. It was me. That was it. That was the whole company was me. And so I did everything. Technical analysis course, maybe like 4 to 6 hours. I think if you just go through it without looking at any charts in between or anything like that, without taking a break, you could probably get through it in 3, I think. For the most part, though, right here, crossing up on the RSI. Right here, price action looks good. The only thing is, this hasn't crossed up. So there's only one thing that's really holding you back here, that cross up of the MACD, but this is a very, very strong move. The other thing is you're below the 200. So you have to see that that's some serious resistance right here. And you can see that from the past. You see that from the past, right? So this area here is where you got to be a little careful with it, but this is a good sign that you can see some positive price action over time. My honest outlook for this week is that at some point we do a 2 hour pullback. And I think you could get that soon. But is that going to happen today when these daily ranges are so small? Because this is our 68% zone for the day. You'll learn this in the course, by the way. Whoever was asked about the course, Sean, you'll learn about these expected moves, and we talk about the probabilities behind them and how to understand them, how to trade around them. So you'll learn about it. It depends where you're at, but for the most part, if you have a decent understanding of MACD, RSI, and take the technical indicators course, you can put together swing trading really, really quickly, right? Now, the swing trading course is just to give you the entries, the exits, how to look at it, right? What things you need. It's very quick, very, very quick. But so if you're very beginner, then do the swing trading, and then shortly after that, take the technical indicators one. But for the most part, my take on the SPY is I think at some point we're going to see something like this or something like this, right? Something like this or something like this that then leads to this actually going higher. And then right when everyone thinks we're going to a new all-time high, this is where I'll have to say, be a little careful, right? Because there's going to be a 2 hour divergence there. You can roll over the daily. So I think, and this is just my thinking right now, this can change. I think we're at a time where things can really shake up before the election. So I want to be aware of a signal that can really take, and John saying the course is great. That's awesome. Thank you for saying that, you guys. Give him some help in there, how it's helped you. If he does have questions, it's great when it comes from you guys. But I'm just saying the signal I want to pay attention to is this is a very positive move. So I'd be crazy to say that this is going to crash down. That'd just be crazy to say. But I'm aware of how this would show itself as a crashing down. It's if this daily crosses over. Do we have signals here that tell me that that daily is going to cross over? No, we don't. So what would be the most likely way to create that signal if we're going to experience something bad in the next, say, couple of weeks? Well, we would turn down on this 2 hour. Maybe we even go a little bit higher first, right? And then we turn down on this 2 hour. We get into Friday, we curl back up. And then at the end of August, we make this type of signal. Boom, right there. And then we make this type of signal. Boom, right there. And then we make this type of signal. Boom, right there, right? All of these would add up. Now, why do I want to pay attention to this type of signal if the price action gets right here? And I will look at Nike. I'm sorry, Mustafa. I'll look at Nike in a second. But let me just get through the point and then we'll look at it. And then I might have to hop off. But I want to pay attention to this signal right here. This is the most important thing that I'm paying attention to over the next 2 weeks. And I haven't talked about it a lot. The reason I want to pay attention if there's a 2 hour divergence here is because if we actually go to a new all-time high and we go up to this area, let me get all this mess off of here. You guys are getting some, this is actually a really good point to make here and something to pay attention to. So if we go make that 2 hour divergence, why would that be very important? That's because the daily can experience weakness with that divergence. So let's just say we do something like that, and then we go like this, right? And we curl over. If this daily were to curl over with that type of move, right? We go like that. Let's just say it goes like this. Okay, that would be a big divergence right by the center line. So if this daily crosses over here, the reason I want to be aware of a 2 hour is because 2 hours divergences cross over dailies a lot. And I don't want to be holding the bag at the high. Exactly, Kalani. So I'm going to look for this type of signal and say, if this signal on the daily confirms down, that is a very bad sign. That will be my crash scenario. All right. I still have to be aware that volatility is coming down, but it is crossed, the 50 has crossed the 200, which means we are still in a time where we can experience a crash. All right. Now let's go over into Nike real quick. Bitcoin curls up on the daily. I think good things can happen. Right now, you're kind of rejecting the breakout. So very, very tough one there. We'll look at that in a second as well. Just looking over at Nike, which Nike's funny because I have on the chart where Meet Kevin said that it's going to like $200 or something like that. It was right here. And it did not go to $200 ever again. So that's just from a long time ago. For my enjoyment. As far as Nike goes, this is kind of good. You're heading, technically I should pull this down on those wicks. You're in that breakdown area, right? You're in the area where you could get some rejection. What does this mean? This is a great daily move. So what is the reason I could be seeing something here? Well, did that 2 hour take a long time to pull back? It did. So as of right now, the most likely scenario is Nike actually sees some kind of 2 hour pullback, and then you want to pay attention. Is that going negative? Is the daily chart crossing down? But if this can just go like that and curl back up, if it can go like this and curl back up, you might get another big move higher than this one, right? Beat the high, go make a new one. That's what I'd really be looking at as of this moment for Nike. 2 hour pullback is the most likely scenario. That can still just move sideways, right? We can just go like this and then pop up. We can go like that, and that'll bring this MACD down. But that's what I'd say, Mustafa. That's a good one to look at. As far as it goes with Bitcoin, still paying attention to a lot of things with Bitcoin, though, because the daily was so close to crossing, and that's why we drew that trend line. We said if it crosses up on the MACD, and then you see it get across that trend line pretty strong, that would be a good sign. Is it getting across that? It did. Is it looking strong? No. That is not looking strong. So what do you want to pay attention to here? Is this daily going to cross up and keep going, right? It's crossed up. Is it going to break through? Well, one key thing to look at is your 4 hour chart. If that 4 hour chart starts to confirm down, you got to treat that like, hey, it could test this low, it could test this low, it could head lower, right? When we zoom out on this, you can see how that could head lower. All right, so 4 hour crosses down, very bad. Here's what I would say for now, though. 4 hour crosses down bad, 2 hour crosses back up. That could be a good sign, but it's just about to cross down. So it's kind of in a middle ground, and you have to wait to see which signal is going to take over and make sure to manage throughout. You're building liquidity for sure. Look at this. We've remained here for a little bit. Since August 8th, we've kind of been in this general area. Are the dollar and the VIX? Not all the time. Not all the time, no. The dollar is starting to creep up, though, as people go to the call side. That's what we're looking for. Okay, so now the dollar has started to creep up, but is the SPY creeping up? Not necessarily. This is just telling you, again, how the dollar and the SPY have the correct correlation right now. Oh, Oxy? Yeah, let's go look at Oxy as well. But you want to see, because that just tells me this is being the correct correlation. So if the dollar goes up, then stocks most likely do come down with that correlation right now. Not necessarily a rigged move correlation, right? Not the rigged behavior, but more just regular behavior there. Oxy, 2 hour curling down is not a good sign. That is not a good sign. I would say that. Now we can look at this from a daily perspective. You see how that's struggling for a while. We'll pay attention to it, but for the most part, this just does not look good. The only chance you have at positivity here is if this 2 hour just whips back around, you don't really beat the low. All right, this is one you probably could go into a 4 hour, right? And then you could see some kind of divergence point down here, and that's what I'd pay attention to for positivity. Negativity is already there. Negativity is already there. So You just got to be aware of how these things can rotate back around. Do I think this will be a huge move down? Most likely not. Most likely it just comes down a little bit, and then we'll get some kind of bounce, and then you want to see if that can rotate down again. As far as it goes with gold's mark in there, I think you're saying that this thing is coming down. It is. It is. Do we have the reversal signal still? Not necessarily. Even on the 30-minute, I think we violated that. No, you do have one. Okay, so you are kind of confirming a 30-minute here, saying there could be a 2-hour more pullback. Is it following Exxon? Oh my goodness. That is a fake out move. Holy crap. The good part here is the 2-hour never curled up. So the good part here is the 2-hour never went green, so that's good. But you did have a 2-hour divergence in here, and then you have a rejection divergence right there saying, hey, the daily can start to roll over. What's the daily look like? Ooh, that has divergence across there as well. So now you're probably going to experience some extreme weakness for Exxon. I don't know if it correlates to Oxy. I mean, right now it seems like they're both dropping. Wow. So it might be what's to come, you know what I mean? And remember IWM this morning. Remember IWM saying 30-minute divergence? Look how that's playing out. Is the 2-hour able to cross over here? That's something I'd pay attention to as well. But all right, guys, that is a pretty good morning for us. I think that was fun. It seems like even though the SPY is being boring, we're seeing some cool stuff across the board. We're seeing some potential for pullbacks. I think pullback or sideways price action is what you're overall looking for. Remember this, today I'm still thinking of going live for the close, so make sure you're subscribed with notifications on. But if we don't see any kind of craziness, if we don't really see, if not a lot has changed, then we most likely will just be putting out a YouTube video tonight. But it's always good to have those notifications on because I'm going to be watching this throughout my day. And if I start to see some craziness, I'm going to hop back on live. So make sure you are subscribed, all right? Real big thank you to showing up today. Real big thank you. Thank you so much for the questions. I feel like the questions today, the stocks we were looking at today was all fantastic. I really wanted to come in today. I don't know. I woke up with a mentality. I was like, I don't know about even helpful is the right word. I was like, I just really wanted to be descriptive, answer a lot of questions, talk about stocks a lot this morning. I feel like that was a very important thing because things like this, people can get caught up in thinking, oh, this thing has to go up forever. And we want to pay attention to what is intelligent. What is the smart thing to do at this point? If I didn't catch the low, should I YOLO into something? And that's, I think, exactly what market makers want you to do. And so it's good to talk about those things. And there were fantastic questions. And thank you, Short Fridays, for the $2 buy. Everyone stay positive. I like that attitude. You think there's going to be a little surprise at the end of the day? You think there'll be a little surprise? I'll keep my eye on it. We'll see if there's going to be a surprise, right? We'll see. The dollar is starting to scale up, guys. So it just tells me maybe I will come back later today. All right, maybe I will. If this dollar really starts to scale up, volatility keeps scaling up, and the PCC keeps dropping, ooh, I probably will be back on later today. Thank you, guys, and my family really appreciates when you shout them out, so thank you. They say thank you, and I just hope you guys have a great day, all right? Keep it good out there. Trade like water. Make sure to be patient, and you'll be just fine. All right? Peace.